Well, we're back in the middle of the summer transfer window, and I think you all know what that means. Let's go and see who's been offering us an interview and what job opportunities might be on the horizon. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 67 of this FM23 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. I've remembered what episode it is this time, first gold medal of the day for me, and there might be another one as well. We're back on the 30th of June, I think you can all work out why, but where is it going to be from and who is it going to be? We mentioned a little bit of deja vu in the introduction, didn't we? What do we mean by that? Have your guess down in the comments if you haven't already. If you want to find out what job we've been offered and whether we take it, please do put a thumbs up on it. But I've got to say that Gary is giving us a real option to try and stay. He is trying to sign superstars, albeit a lot of them aren't coming off, albeit some of them have rejected us, some have chosen other clubs. He can't compete with some of the wage bills that are going around in the Championship and in the Premier League in some cases. But he has tried his best to bring in superstars, and he has done a little bit of work already. He's accepted offers for Joe Woolacott and a lot of younger players. He is agreeing a deal to try and sign Matthew Kamara, who is from Stoke City, a very good young midfielder. And I will say this for him for the entirety of the summer. He has tried to sign younger players in positions where we're aging, such as defence, such as centre midfield. He deserves a lot of credit. You can see another one that rejected us there, young Luis Enrique. He was a bit more of a for the future one, but he's still looking younger, he's still trying to improve, and he has brought in some players already. If we go back to the end of last season, Colin Wilson was brought in from Reading, a younger centre-half, a model citizen, 23 years of age, and he likes to play football in the middle. So you've got to say, he's looking at where I've seen our frailties and he's trying to improve it, which massive credit for that. In terms of the outs, there's been a few out on loan, Karen Samuels being the most notable of them, but he's also gone for another in later in the month too. Twain Judah is a right back and centre midfielder from Derby. Again, 23 years of age. Again, good personality, good stamina, good work rate. He's got the lot. So I like the profile of player he's bringing in. I like what he's trying to do with a limited budget. But it's not going to be enough to keep us, I'm sorry to say. We signed that 3-year deal. It gave us protection. But the amount of money needed to lure us away from the job has been triggered. But who by? You saw last episode we applied for a few jobs in England and elsewhere. But which one have come in for us? It's taken till the 30th of June. We've had interviews at a few clubs. But which offer have we had? Well, let's go through to the staff job centre and see what's been happening. The two jobs we are still in the running for are Fulham and Crystal Palace. Fulham have come down from the Premier League, but have arguably got the better squad and a bigger wage bill of the two. And Crystal Palace, they stayed in the Premier League in 16th. They are the Premier League club that offered us a job last year in the head coach, and we are the favourite for that job. And the reason we're favourite for that job is because Crystal Palace, for the second year in a row in the head coach, have offered us a job in the Premier League. We're going to get our break with the same team. Again, London, very close to my home. I can go and make the travel every day. It is a very good move for us. It is a massive wage increase. From 15 grand a week to 33 and a half. Huge transfer budget, huge wage budget. Dougie Friedman will be our director of football again. The dressing room atmosphere, we've promised to keep it all right. But let's see what the club wants to achieve, because the objectives are not that high for next year. They want to develop and sign younger players. It's all about the future with them. 4-year contracts for young players and not big deals for some of the elder statesmen of the club. We've got to grow the reputation. We've got to attempt to avoid relegation from the Premier League. They don't even expect us to stay up and be competitive in the two cups. Now, the reason this is an interesting one, we go and have a look at the general info. It's a very similar situation to what we took over in our last job at Ipswich. We came into a club that had been promoted back to the Championship, just stayed up in the first year and lost its manager, and then we've got to try and take them to the next level. Well, this is exactly the same here. Crystal Palace were in a Championship our first year at Ipswich. We played against them. They came up, they stayed up just, and now their media prediction is 20th for this season. They're expected to go down, but they're a bigger reputation club. We're doubling our wage. We're moving closer to home. In realistic terms, I cannot turn this down. So let's go and start the negotiations. There's not really pressure with us not even expected to stay up either. So I'm going to try and get it up to 35 grand a week. It is the same length of contract as we've got left at Ipswich in 2 years. And if we avoid relegation from the Premier League, I want 80 grand up front. We go down, I only want a 25% wage drop. Are you happy to accept that? You very much are. We've just added 20 grand to our weekly wage. We cannot complain. Nobody's turning that down, as well as a jump to the Premier League. We will be back in a moment for our first day in a new job. Well, my loyalty really knows no bounds, does it? The first time there's interest from the Premier League, we do a runner. But let's be honest, there's no manager turning that down in real life. We've played a number of tactics across this save. We'll see which one we come up with here. Fernando Torres was favourite for the job, but we managed to take it on. I do wonder what sort of squad we're going to inherit here. Considering it's expected to finish bottom, I'm not that hopeful. But I'm hoping it might be a younger side, a little bit more dynamic, and maybe somewhere we can play on the counter and be a bit more aggressive. Let's see what we've got to work with. If we go through to the reputation, 3.5 star, expected to finish bottom, no real change to the facilities. They didn't finish 8th last year. I don't know why it says that. They finished 16th. 8th is where they are at the moment on alphabetical order. Dougie Freedman is the director of football. He's alright, bit of a club legend and did well for us in FM22. And of course, Miguel Molina, the assistant manager, he's not bad at all and a very good coach, which is crucial for us. Fierce rivals with Brighton, who must still be in the Premier League. The club is rich, the transfer budget's good. I'm hopeful Dougie will be able to get a few in. The good thing is here where the manager's left, there's not been huge upheaval across the club. So there should still be the recruitment structure in place. They should know who they want to sign and hopefully there won't be too much change. But we are joining on the 30th of June, so there might be a few players leaving. You can see one there, leaving on a free transfer, a few loans that are ending today. So I don't know that we can judge it yet. I don't know that we can judge it on this tactic. Is that Ivan Toney up front? He must be getting on a bit. Maybe not such a young squad after all. A lot of new gens though. Chris Richards still in defence. But overall it seems to be a real balance. A few experienced heads in there. Pasalic I recognise. Kuto the right back. What about Junior on the left? Is that Junior Firpo? It is. So 4 or 5 experienced ones, 3 or 4 regens, and 1 or 2 that we don't know much about. Let's go and get through to the next screen. We know what the reputation is. We know what we're expected to do in terms of the club vision. And now it says avoid relegation. I wondered about this because in the interview, they said, do you want to attempt to avoid relegation? And to make sure I got the job, I said, actually, I think we can do a bit better. I think we can stay up. So they have changed that obligation straight away. And you can see it is fully required because we've talked ourselves up. Have I made the Peterborough Sports mistake again? We'll find out later in the save. We've got to avoid relegation according to the fans. Get the better of Millwall and Brighton if we play them. But overall, not much to expect at the moment. We've got to stay up because we've put that pressure on ourselves. If we've got a decent team, I think we will. Let's go and confirm it into our first day. You know what comes next. Here we go then, in a move that's sure to spark plenty of heated debate. I'm not sure about that. I think it's a pretty obvious decision. We have moved to Crystal Palace. It is a big season for the club. What are the season expectations from here? Avoid relegation and go out of the cups at the first attempt. I think we can live with that. We'll confirm that. We'll head over to the staffing. We'll see what we've got to work with. There's lots of space here for us to get people in. So hopefully Dougie Freedman and whoever the technical director is, if we've got one, will be busy on that. We've got the worst coaching team in the Premier League by far. I'm guessing a few might have left with the manager. And the highest average in the recruitment team, we are a long way away from that. Good medical team though, which might suggest we're going to expect injuries. Let's go and have a look at all the staff we've got to work with. We've seen the director of football, Dougie Freedman, the under 21 and 18 manager. They're going to be developing people. Paddy McCarthy we know is good. Rob Quinn is pretty good as well. Happy with them. Miguel Molina we've met. We know he's great. What about the head of youth development? Gary Issa is still going strong. Been there since 2012 and he's very good at his job. Got to give him praise. Hopefully he can bring through some gems. Hopefully he can help develop them too. Gary Issa is a superstar. Fitness coach. Fraser Finley is the first one. Very good at his job and only 33. Jamie Goldsmith is the other. He is very good at his job, only 41. So 2 fitness coaches are brilliant, but there are no goalkeeping coaches and no general coaches at senior level. They must have all been taken with the manager. And pre-season is going to be very hectic if we don't have many coaches. So that's definitely the first order of improvement for Dougie Freedman. Let's move down to the scouting and physio teams. They said the medical team was quite good, didn't they? Haycock is, as a physio, yeah, he's exceptional. So we've got a great lead of a very good team. What about the recruitment? The scouting, David Schlanders is the main scout. He's not bad, but he's 60 years of age. Jordan Hugill is a scout now. He's very average. Patrick Ryan is good. Michael McNeil is okay. Russell Taylor is very good, best of the bunch. James Scowcroft, I remember him back in the old Ipswich days in the early 2000s. He's not bad. And Kevin Gallen, former Luton Town man, what a journeyman he was. He's not bad either. So maybe one or two more good additions there, but it could be worse. But what is the director of football going to be able to do on the transfer front? What is he going to need to do? Let's go and find out. We'll start in the development centre. Are there any gems that we can put into the senior team? Atak Mur is a 2-star attacking midfielder, 4-star potential. He's all right. He's probably championship level. Under 21s. Anyone else there? Luca Cassani is out on loan. Why do I know that name? Ah, he's the one that we tried to sign at Ipswich, isn't he? The director of football went for him from Crewe and he rejected us. He's a good player. We'll see what he can do next season. AD Swanson is 2-star as well. He's a pretty good fullback. I think we've got some gems in this youth team. Those two I'm going to promote as well. Get them involved in the squad. The under-18s, I'm guessing there's no one quite as good, but there's some big potential there. Dean Parker as a winger, he's got it all to be a star. And Michael Holdford, he's not too bad either. Let's go over to the senior team now. It's the bit you're all waiting for. We saw a few surprises when we were looking at the best 11, but let's see what we have got at this club. We've got a 21-year-old Brazilian star. We've got a very good Tom Davis and Morgan Gibbs-White. I can see a 34-year-old Rob Holding. I can see a bit of experience in this club. There's a lot of youth, there's a lot of experience, and there's not many that are probably at their peak, which might be why we'll struggle. In terms of star ability, I mean, it's a huge squad. I know a lot of them are going to be out of contract this year. If we just go back a minute. So all of these guys are going to be going today. They're out of contract as it stands. So let's just get them out of the senior squad. We don't want to see anything about them. The rest of it is still pretty big. There's a lot of 1.5-star ability players in here, which I'm not a big fan of. So those three, they're going to go straight down as well to the under 21s. And we've got this left to work with. I don't want a massive squad. And there's a lot of players here that are younger, not so good. We'll have a quick glance at them as well. Let's start with the goalkeepers. 3 very similarly matched ones, all very experienced. Predrag Radkovic was the first choice this season. He's a solid pro. He's declining a little physically, but he's good enough at the minute. Harry Lewis is the current backup at the club, who's not quite as good, but again, for £5,500 a week as a backup is perfectly serviceable. And then Odysseus in goal, 36-year-old who's been out on loan this year. Probably the best of the bunch looking at him, but I don't know if he's going to be kept. He seems to be wanted. He seems to have been out on loan and out of favour before. I'd argue he's our best goalkeeper. At 36, I don't really know if I want to rely on him. Into defence, where we look a little bit light, if I'm being honest. Not in terms of numbers, but certainly in terms of star quality. Before we get to that, I just realised I've missed another goalkeeper. 24-year-old Ted Curd. He is not this level. I'm sorry. He's getting out of the first team as well. Into defence, Rob Holding is the old head, 34 years of age. He's a centre-half who's losing his physicality. He's only got 1 year on his contract, and I'm keeping an eye on that. All of the experienced pros have got shorter deals, so it's not too much of an issue. Juan Mustafa is the second one. 21-year-old Israeli central defender. He looks very good, actually. Definitely got potential to grow into. There's been a bit of a bit part player the last year or so. I'd like to get him more involved. Maybe to push on as a starter this year, but certainly to get a bit more football than he's had in recent seasons. Zach Williams is a left-back and centre-half. Natural as a centre-back, can play on the left too. Left-footed, gives us natural balance, a good leader. Came through in this save at Crewe Alexandra, the famed youth academy, and to be fair, I really like him, so I think he'll play fairly regularly. Ian Clark is 2-star ability as a left-back and centre-half. Another one who's got potential, but maybe isn't an absolute gem. He's been here since leaving Spurs in 2025. He's good enough as a backup, I guess, but can't really tackle, can't mark and can't head, which for a centre-half is pretty important, I would say. Moving further down, the best one is Yan Couto, 28-year-old Brazilian right wing-back. Maybe not the best defensively, but going forward he's a gem. Has played for City, PSG, Benfica. He's a good player. he's going to be a regular starter, isn't he? Looking at that, I'd probably rather have him as a wing-back, but I'm not sure we've got 3 centre-halves that are good enough, so maybe we'll have to compromise there a little bit. Kasani we've talked about as a young player, maybe not quite ready yet, one more loan away perhaps. Adi Swanson is the one we just promoted. I fancy him as a backup right back this year. Solid enough, serviceable. I'm happy to keep him involved. Lincoln is a bit of a weird one. We've got a left back, centre mid and centre midfielder. His natural position is number 10 and left wing. He's okay at 31, maybe a little past his prime, but he'd be a good player for us going forward. Certainly is never going to play left back though. Junior Firpo is a name we know well from Leeds in real life. 33 years of age, 2.5 star ability. He's okay again, maybe just over the hill. It's the same problem, isn't it? We haven't got any players at their peak, so I'm not sure I'd want him as the long term, but he'll do a job for now if need be. Chris Richards is only 30 though. He's been here since the start of the game. Nearly 300 league appearances. He's a very good defender. You know what? I'm really happy with him. He'll be a regular starter for us. Only 30, he's still in his prime. One of the few players we've got in that situation. And maybe with the likes of Williams and Mustafa either side of him, maybe that could be a back three. Maybe it does give us the option. Not sure we've got a left wing back I'd like to start though. The other one is Abdoulaye Traore. He is 22 years of age. Natural centre half and centre midfielder. He's alright. He's been out on loan in the Championship. Let's move on to this string of midfield players then. We start with Mario Pasalic, who is the best rated centre mid at the club. He's 35 now, but he's 4-star ability and he is a superstar, isn't he? Not maybe got the dynamism you'd like. He's not got stamina. He's not got pace. He's not hugely strong, but he's 6'2". He'd still be a threat from set pieces and he's got real quality going forward. He's great off the ball and he's a good finisher. So maybe if we could play a back three with a tactic that incorporates a number 10, maybe he'd be a bit of a gem, but I'm looking at how many wingers are further down. That might be a bit tricky. Tom Davis is 32. He is a 3.5-star midfielder. Very much the opposite type. A proper ball buster, works hard, great stamina, great engine, great work rate. Not got much in terms of technical ability. John Buckley is a 3-star midfielder at 30. Can play holding mid, centre mid or further forward. Very similar type of player to Pasalic. Good on the ball, not the most physical. They're all very decent players, but we haven't got many standouts, have we? The one who might be, though, is this next guy. Neto is 21. He is 4.5-star ability. He's Brazilian. He is wanted, and he's got a concern. He wants to go to a stronger squad. Are you as good as you look on paper? Oh, he is. He's a superstar. He's not naturally fit, which is the one issue. But as a playmaker, as a central midfielder, he's an absolute gem. Great first touch. Mentally superb. Determined, driven, good vision, good work rate. It's just the natural fitness that's missing. But then equally, I look at his value at the moment. If he gets an offer of 60, 70, 80 million, is he someone that we can turn it down for? I think the director of football will probably sell him because that's what we've generally seen over the years. But as long as he replaces him with 2 or 3 good players, I think we can accept that because he's a good player, he's a standout player, but he's not that good that he'll keep us up alone. So maybe it's just best to sell him and move on. It is also the area of the squad centre mid where we do seem to be strongest overall. We've already seen Pasalic and Davis. I know roughly what to expect from Morgan Gibbs-White. Grombach looks alright as well. So maybe it is the area to sell. We'll see what the director of football does. Alan Dwyer is next up. He is 2-star ability. He's a rubbish striker. He'll be back in the under-21s. We've got Atac Mert, who we've just promoted. I quite like him. Very similar to Pasalic yet again. The next one is 29-year-old Albert Grombach, who is 3.5-star ability. Centre midfielder or right winger. He's a natural right footer too, so that would work. I'm really pleased with him. Has scored about 1 in 7 in nearly 200 games as well, so clearly a very good player at this level. Morgan Gibbs-White we know all about, 30 years of age. Again, very solid without being a standout. Can play centre mid and attacking mid. Maybe would complement the Pasalic role. And 160 league games for the club since leaving Forest. He's a very good pro. Next up is Piotr Storinsky, 26-year-old winger at 2.5-star. Bit more of a traditional winger him. Likes to beat a man, get to the byline and get the ball in the box. At the moment, though, I don't really know if we've got room for that. From what I've seen, we're going to play 3 at the back and 3 in midfield. So I don't think we can play with wingers unless there's real stars here. Joel Ndala is next, 2-star ability, not good enough. Looks like he's off to Denmark anyway. Florin Mitchan is 3-star ability, 3.5 potential. Oh, this is a problem. He's a really good winger. He's my type as well. He's Scottish, which fair enough. Surprised he's not had a cap yet. He's very quick. He's one of the most physical players in the team. He's also 6'2" and good in the air. He's very good in the key areas technically. He can play centre midfield as well. Maybe a Mazzala would suit him a bit. But I might need your help in the comments as we go along here. We've got Kavel Adekoya coming back, who's not a great winger. We've got Sam Fawns, who's 2-star ability. He looks all right, actually. He's someone who can maybe go out on loan again, get another good year under his belt, and then come back when Pasalic leaves, when the others retire, and maybe looks like a bit of a gem then. But for now, probably not quite Premier League level. Umar Abiodun is the next one. He's determined, but not much else. Nathan Baker is a striker. Great personality, great physically and mentally. Technically, he's a mile off it. Can he play anywhere else? As a number 10, he might be good, but such a shame. If he was a bit better technically, he'd be a superstar. Chris Lewis is 19 years of age, 2-star ability, big potential. Again, a striker for the future. And this is the point here, isn't it? If we can stay up the first year, survive in our job, get these guys out on loan another year with the director of football, I've got a feeling we'll have a great squad come season 2. We'll see if that's the case or not. But we've got, thankfully, 3 experienced attacking players at the end. We need them to be pretty good. 30-year-old Pontus Almqvist is the first one. Centre forward, bit of a deep line type, good technically, not the best finisher, but very good off the ball. A bit of a flair player, to be honest. 2-footed, cuts inside from the wings. If we do play 2 up front, as a deep liar with another centre forward, it could potentially work. Those other 2 centre forwards are Rodrigo Ribeiro, a 25-year-old Portuguese player. He has 3 ability, 3.5 potential. He's that type, isn't he? He's a running behind striker. Again, not the best finisher in the world, but he's got ability. So I think we'll be all right. Physically fit, he's quick, he's 6'1". He'll be a handful. It's just whether he's ruthless enough in front of goal. And the final one, will he still be good technically? Yes, he will. He's still the best striker at the club by a country mile. Great finisher, almost guaranteed from the penalty spot. And he's pretty good physically still for his age. He's only just turned 34. And of course, he's played a lot in a lower league. So scoring 1 in 3 for Palace. He's a proper goal scorer. Yeah, for me, he's going to be a regular. We've got to find a way to fit around him. And maybe if we can put the quick runner or a clever player alongside him, we could well have a successful year. But great to have a little bit of experience in the squad. I'd argue we've maybe got a few too many that are too experienced. But it's almost like this squad is coming to a bit of an evolution. A few younger players out on loan who are maybe 1 year away. So if we can get through what will be a tricky first season, I do feel the potential of this club is huge yet again. If you agree, let me know down in the comments. What tactic do you think we should play? I'm still edging towards the 5-3-2, I've got to be honest. I don't see enough quality out wide to play that way. Albeit we could go with a Morgan Gibbs-White, a Grombach, whatever. Gives us a way of getting 2 up front. I don't feel any of our strikers are individually good enough to play on their own. So I feel that might be the way we have to adapt. Let me know if you agree or disagree. We've got about 6 weeks until the Premier League season. I'm sure the director of football will be busy. And we're not going to have a particularly friendly start because our opening game is against Arsenal. It's followed by 2 home games against Southampton and Spurs. Liverpool in the first month as well. It is going to be a tricky start to our Premier League career. We'll of course keep an eye on what Ipswich do too, but if you want to stay up to date and find out how that goes, if you did enjoy our introduction to Crystal Palace, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you think of taking the job. Surely it was a no-brainer, wasn't it? And do you think we can survive? The media don't. The squad suggests we might find it tricky, but do you think we can achieve something special? Let me know down in the comments, and if you haven't already, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. You'll get alerts as daily episodes release from 2 long-term stories. We'll be back with Distillery tomorrow, our Build a Nation, before our first game in charge of Palace in 2 days' time. In the meantime, you can find that Build a Nation playlist up in the eye above, as well as our special little fun episode we did on Sunday, the Twitch channel and the football podcast too. But I'll see you back here in 2 days' time. Arsenal away is not a friendly start, but will our director of football have done anything in the meantime? I'll see you next time to find out.